am Gina. I'm one of the pastors. If we haven't met, I would just love to be able to have a conversation, meet you out in the lobby after our time here of worship. So I'm wondering if you like riddles or not. Anybody good at riddles? Oh, I hear some grumbling like, no. But yeah, I have a riddle for us. So let's try and just see. Maybe you'll get it. Maybe you won't. As a child, you have many, but over time, only a few. Hold steady. The ones who hold fast and true, you call upon out of the blue. Together for years, we have shared laughter and tears side by side or miles apart. We will always be connected in heart. You are to me, but to you, what am I? Yeah, all right. Some of you nailed it. You got it right. Being a friend. So we have been journeying through this new beginnings where we've been kind of looking at ourselves and maybe some things that we might need to change in our lives. We have had different topics, exercise, savings, those kinds of things. And so today we are talking about maybe how can we be a better friend? How could we be just better in our relationships? How could I be a better daughter? How could you be a better son? Whatever that might be. How could we be better at whatever it is that we are facing? That those things in our lives kind of creep in and we don't really realize that they're kind of taking place in us. And so it's time to pause and to look at that. So I had the question, I thought, well, what makes a good friend? So I decided that I was going to go to the experts to figure out what makes a good friend. You know who the experts are? You. You guys are the experts. That I went to you last week. I was asking a few of you, hey, what do you think makes a good friend? And so before, you might have your own ideas of what you think makes a good friend, but also are you a good friend? Of those things that you think about, does that include you? Are you a good friend in there? So I got a little video just to share. What do you think, what it makes a good friend? So let's roll it. Chance for that. Reminds me, I do need to stop by Walmart, get some deodorant, right? Make sure that we're smelling okay. Yes. So there are a few things that we look for or what makes a good friend. So some of the things besides hygiene is also loyalty, a person to show up for you, somebody fun, somebody to laugh with in that time. So maybe was that some of the things that you had thought about as well as what makes a good friend? So again, I pose you the question, are you a good friend? And that's where we turn into John chapter 15 to figure out exactly, well, what does Jesus say? What does Jesus say on what it looks like to be a good friend? And in this, you need to know that this is towards the end of Jesus's ministry, and that he has gathered his disciples together at the table. This is the Last Supper that they are sharing, although they don't know that this is the Last Supper in their time together. And so as he has been pouring into them for over the past 3 years. They've been spending life together, eating, sleeping, journeying through it all together. And so this is kind of like the last 10 seconds of, a tied basketball game, right? Where every move, every position, every word that is said like that makes a difference. It's going to make an impact. And so he is being very intentional on what it is that he is sharing. I mean, this meal, as you can imagine, imagine the spread that would have been there, the grapes, the food, the bread, the fish, right? All around for them to come and enjoy. And so in John 15, Jesus starts out at the beginning where he tells his friends, I am the true vine. I am the vine. And so what that means is that when you believe in me, right, you are going to see fruits. You're going to see fruits out in the community, out in your own life too, of sharing God's love with others. So he's moving from I am the vine into love each other. And so when he talks about how to love each other, he throws in some words like commands, and he throws in words of friends. So let's pick up to what Jesus is putting out there here in John 15. So saying, this is my commandment, to love each other just as I have loved you, that no one has a greater love than to give up one's life for one's friends. That you are my friends if you do what I command you. Right? This is what I kind of have a little problem with. It's hard to hear that Jesus is commanding us here. So we're going to get back into that. But he says, I don't call you servants any longer, because servants don't know what their master is doing. That instead, I call you friends, because everything I heard from my Father, I have made known to you, that you didn't choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you, so that you could go and produce fruit, and so that your fruit could last. And as a result, whatever you ask of the Father in my name, that he will give you. I give you these commandments so that you can love each other. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. So what is it that Jesus is trying to say here to us? I believe there's three things. That friendship is mutual, that friendships are messy, and that friendships that they will grow. And so let's jump in here to friendships are mutual, that Jesus, one of the first words that he uses is commandment, that this is my commandment, to love each other just as I loved you, right? You know, I don't know if you've gotten an email and you've read it and you kind of are wondering what kind of tone maybe this person is sending this email to you. Like you put your own kind of tone or twist onto what is being shared. And so sometimes we can put this angry voice that this is the way that they're saying it, but it may not be that intent at all. I once received a text, and in there the person put gentle regard. So I was supposed to read it with a gentle and not So it's interesting when we read this, we're not really quite sure of what Jesus's tone is, but he is speaking with authority here. This is my commandment. This is mine, to love each other as I have loved you. And it's he can command this. He has the authority to do so, right? Because he is God. They are one and the same. What Jesus did and the way that Jesus lived his life is the same way of God's teaching. God's love mirrors God's actions. And so he is claiming this commandment. And we might be aware of in the Old Testament that there were given 10 commandments to Moses. And now Jesus is saying, you know what? We got something new. And actually, in the Jewish traditions that they believed in or practiced over 600 different traditions and laws. So this is quite a shift in the thinking, right? From 600 to 1. Which one might you choose, right, to follow of commands? So it's a little bit different. He's saying that this is a reset. This is a reset. We're taking this, that you love me, I love you, and guess what? Then we're going to love others. You're going to love me, I love you. Let's love others together, because it is a mutual, friendship is a mutual relationship. You love me and I love you. Because I'm wondering if maybe you have ever tried to have a conversation with somebody and it's only gone one way. Like you have called them and they didn't return your call. That you tried to text them, no response either, right? All right, I'm going to send an email. Maybe they'll get the email. No response on that either, right? Maybe you have. But it's hard. It's hard to have a relationship when it's only going one way. And I do have a confession to make that I had a friend, a close friend even, who was reaching out to me, right? She would call me. But I look at my phone and I'm like, man, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I can't really talk. Or like I'm in the middle of a family thing going on or something was happening. All right, I'll get back to her. I know I'll get back. I'll call her tomorrow. I'll text her tomorrow. And guess what? Tomorrow comes and I forget or something else, right? Something else comes on. And then it just kind of gets awkward. Like I've really pushed the limit on this. And I wasn't being a good friend. I wasn't being a good friend. And guess what? She stopped calling me, right? She stopped texting me, right? If I'm not going to respond, she's going to stop. And she called me out on it too. Like when I got a hold of her, I'm like, right? She let me have it because I hurt her and I didn't intend to hurt her, and I'm sorry for that. But I think back to that video that from you experts, what you shared was that showing up. How showing up makes a difference. That when we're there, when we're present with our friends, when we're talking, when we're engaged, when we are there, when we are listening, that we are showing up for whatever it might be that they need in that time. Because we have a kind of a conflict, because our culture is not one of that. Our culture is one of self, that we want to do the things our way. We want to be independent. We can do things, be self-reliant. We can do things on our own as well. And so it's hard because Jesus says something specifically against that. He says that no one has a greater love than to give up one's life for one's friend. That there is no greater love but to give up one's life for one's friends. And I think of the military, those who step forward. I think of the law enforcement, firefighters, right? Healthcare workers. I'm just so appreciative of the ways that you step forward and the ways that you give of sacrifice and of love. And I know if you ask them, like, why do you do it? Why do you do that? They say, it's my job. It's my job to do. But you know what? It's more than the job. This is a sacrifice. It is a calling of the heart, really, to give of yourself in such a way. And I'm so thankful for all of those who serve in that kind of way. Thank you for your service. But here's the other half of it, right? The women, those men, they couldn't really do their job. They can't complete it because they're a team working together, supporting one another, being that encouragement to one another, and helping each other carry them through, right? Literally, figuratively, they are carrying each other through those moments. And we show up for each other in different ways. Just this week alone, had one of our church members take his wife and him down for a surgery procedure. He stayed with the wife the whole entire time during the procedure. Like, he showed up for them, right? And then he brought the wife back home, made sure that they were okay. Another family member bringing food to another who's been recuperating at home, right? That makes a difference. The sacrifice that we give and that we share in big ways. And I think what Jesus really wants us to know in all of this is, right, it's not all about us. It's not all about us. It's a reciprocal. It is not a one way. It is being a good friend is a mutual relationship. So second, that Jesus would say that friendships are messy, right? And you might be thinking of something specifically in your own thoughts, like, yeah, I know I've had a kind of a messy friendship or something go a little bit awkward. So there's a few things here that I want to talk about and what Jesus is sharing in the scripture. It's about friends, command, and servant. So the first one, friends, that Jesus' word when he uses friends is different than what we would say for our culture. That when he uses a friends, it's actually a Greek word, philos and it says loved one. It means loved one. It means that you are those who are loved. That everybody there in the room with Jesus that is there, he is saying to them, you are my friend, that you are loved. You are welcome here. So let's remember that. Secondly, the word command. Do what I command, right? I didn't hear anybody in the video say like, oh, what I love about friendship is when they command me to do this or do that, right? Typically, when somebody's commanding us to do something, right, we're walking the other way, right? Yeah, we want out of that relationship there. But this is what Jesus' command is different. Jesus' command is he's inviting, it's an invitation actually, an invitation to come and be in relationship. And it's in the mutual relationship. Would you come? Would you be my friend is what Jesus is saying. And then third is the servant, right? And in ancient times, this is what you had, that you had the servant who would do whatever the master's wishes were, right? The servant only had a limited amount of knowledge of what was going on. Whatever the master told them, that's what they had to do. And this was kind of the relationship. I mean, his disciples weren't servants, but this was the relationship. Jesus was telling them all that they needed to know. And then they went out and they did it. And then they came back and they reported to him, right? Right? This was how it went. It was kind of a top-down. But here in this verse is where things switch, where things get flipped. Because he says that I called you because you're no longer the servants, that I'm calling you friends. There's a shift, there's a change in what is going on and what Jesus is saying, that the relationship is now one of equal. The relationship now is one of being of mutual. That there is no longer, I'm telling you, but yet you are going. So, it's interesting, right? Jesus doesn't hold back to share that. Like, you are my friends. He's telling it to all of them that are there and that having that meal and celebrating together. That means he's telling Peter, who's going to betray him, that he's telling Thomas, who's going to doubt, and he's also telling Judah, who's going to sell him out in just a little bit, right? But Jesus still continues to call each and every one friend, and that he loves them. I mean, he knows, right, how messy we are. And yet it's still calling them. And as he's sitting there at the table just thinking about what is going to happen next, right? Jesus knows that in the garden here in just a little bit that he's going to be arrested. He knows that in a little bit he's going to be tried, he's going to be convicted, and then he's going to carry the cross. He still wanted his friends to know that they are loved, that they are the ones. So that we need to remember that our friends, that our friendships, they're messy. They're not going to be perfect. We're not perfect. Like, we're going to miss those expectations. We are going to fall short of that. And we're going to have regrets and we're going to hurt one another. Maybe not intentionally, but that's just, we're messy. We're messy. And you know, what's really messy, though, is middle school, right? Middle school is messy. So if you're in middle school, I'm sorry. But when I was in middle school, my best friend and I, we went to the mall and we got our necklace, our heart necklace, and we each had them and wore them. And then guess what? We got into a fight, right? We got into a fight. I wrote her this letter, and I handed back the necklace and the note to her. And our friendship ended at that point in time. And I'm so sorry about all of that. But, right, we didn't talk for a long time. But eventually, we started to talk again. And we started to share again. And we kept trying. And then one day, I was in her wedding. So, you know, there is forgiveness, that there is grace, that if you're having trouble with a friend, I invite you just to talk to them, invite them out to coffee. Just start with a text, start with something to connect with them. Our friends are important. Forgiveness is important. Grace is important, and important for us to share and give that. But I think Jesus knows that right about us. He knows that we're going to stumble and fall, and that we're not going to be perfect. But yet, he's going to call us loved ones, going to call us friend, and because not of us, but because of his extravagant love that he has for us. And then friendship. So friendship will grow. Here is our third point. Friendship will grow. So back in verses 16 and 17, there's a few things to look at here. That Jesus says that I chose you. I chose you and I appointed you. And to go and produce fruit. Right? This journey was together. And it just didn't happen, right? It was all intentional. Do you know how Jesus found his disciples? I mean, he called them out. Yeah, but before he called them out, he prayed. Right? He spent time in prayer, asking God, like, who, God, are you calling to be? Who are you calling to be my peers, my buddies, to help me through this? And he listened because this was a real interesting group of guys that he had pulled together, that he invited to come and to do ministry together with, right? They would never have been in the same room or same place at any time together. But yet, Jesus called them in. Come into this relationship. He was praying before even the relationship began. He was praying for what was to come. So I ask you, do you pray for your friends? Do you pray for your friends? Do you talk? Do you invite God into that conversation? Whether it's just to watch over them or whether it's like you're having a hard time or any kind of troubles in there. Because, when we pray to God, like that fulfills our commitment to God. When we are praying, that connects us to God. And it also opens up other opportunities that we never could have imagined or experienced or even had seen had we not invited God into that time and into that moment. And so Jesus, he says then to his friends, right? Go and do. Go, be a friend, right? Go and share this love that I have taught you and I have shown you. Go and be a friend. Go out into the communities, right? Go out and to share this with others, right? We want to see the fruit that is going to come from this love. That is how it was going to grow and spread. And I bet maybe through if you think back, into your own relationships, you have seen some fruit come out of your relationships, the time that has been spent together, moments that have touched your heart, right? Right? We are grateful for those times. And there's a saying that I found that people come into our lives for a reason. You know this one? Reason, season, and a lifetime. That people come into our lives for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And I think that's true. I find that to be true. But here's the thing for us here, is that we all have this space in our life where we can extend this kindness. We can extend the fruit of kindness, extend the fruit of generosity, of forgiveness, the fruit of sacrificial love. We all have that space in our life that we can be extending that to others. No matter where we are. I hope out today, you're outside enjoying this beautiful 60-degree day out there, right? You extend it out to your neighbors or go for a walk or whatever that might be. To experience the fruit of God's love. Maybe it's just that maybe you're praying for a new friendship or something. Maybe that would be your first step to see. Or maybe it's just for something to go deeper. Or maybe it's for just to start a conversation with somebody, whatever that might be. Because when we love each other is when we glorify God. When we love one another is when God is glorified. And I think that's how I want to live my life. I don't know about you. So I started with a question, right? Are you a good friend? Are you a good friend? And maybe that you have your own struggles with friendship. Maybe it's not friendships. Maybe it's just different relationships, whatever that might be. Maybe you're missing a friend as well, or maybe you're looking for a redo or a start over. I just invite us to remember that friendships are mutual, that friendships are definitely messy, right? But they also grow. They grow. And so in a minute, we're going to come here, we're going to come to the table, we're going to share in Holy Communion. And as we're just reminded as we come forward, right, and to receive the communion of this friendship that is available to us, to all of us, no matter what it is that we're bringing in our brokenness and whatever it is that we carry, that we can come, we can lay it, we can share, we can connect with God, we can share it at the rails, whatever that might look like. And when we do, right, it's Jesus who makes us whole again. It is Jesus who leads us into the healing. So may we join together here.